How are you feeling?
Well,
How long have you been here?
3 months, May 17th.
And what brought you?
That's difficult to answer.
To give you some idea.
I am not completely like other people.
What do you mean by that?
People dislike me because I am not completely like them. I am trying to do with my life something which few people try to do, and this influences my thinking and consequently my action.
What is it you're trying to do with your life?
Play the piano for people.
I'm not clear. How is it that playing the piano for people has eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital?
That's difficult to answer.
this the end? There's a noise inside my head of crying people facing death. Is this the end? Is this the end? I'm burning in the dystopia. There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the dystopia. This is the final time. What have we done to the world? What have we done to the world? I'm burning in the dystopia. There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the dystopia. This is the final
Hey, what's up, everyone? That's not where I wanted my video. That's where I wanted my video. Hey guys, what's up? What's up? Play the song. Which song do you want me to play? Do you want me to play the Queer Marxism song? Maybe we can play the Queer Marxism song in a minute. Maybe we can do that because I think we're gonna do something fun today, and I do have to thank Master Shake / Stony Baloney / Human Centipede / whatever name he's going by today. We have him to thank for this because the BT song. I played the BT song last night. We're gonna talk about BT. We're gonna talk about him a little bit. We do have a BigTech update. We're gonna do that at the beginning. But and honestly, it's a good update. It's a good update. It's a funny update. It's a rather astounding update, but it's going to be a funny update. Anyway, more importantly, what we're going to do on this stream, thanks to Master Shakes down there, is today we are going to venture into a guiding foundational manifesto in the queer Marxism movement. Now, last week we watched several kind of like documentaries, news coverage, etc., about the ACT UP movement in the 80s. The ACT UP movement was the precursor to militant queer activism as we know it today. The ACT UP movement was essentially a mass direct action that took place primarily in New York, where hundreds, thousands of people were getting together on a weekly basis to basically do direct action in New York City, protesting the Catholic Church, protesting the Reagan administration, all that stuff. They caused all sorts of commotion. We watched all that last week. As we're talking about the ACT UP movement, the reason the ACT UP movement is important is because the ACT UP movement was the precursor to militant queer activism as we know it today. How do I know all this? Because I've been doing this a long time, bro. I've been doing this a long time. So what happened was you had the ACT UP movement in the 80s. And then you came into and aligned with the ACT UP movement, there was also something going on in the punk community called queercore, which was this kind of like underground punk movement. I'm not saying that all punk is queer. It's obviously not. There were neo-Nazis in the punk movement, but like there's very specific subculture within the punk movement that was playing with gender norms, that was talking about abolishing gender, et cetera, stuff like that. And so those two things were kind of happening simultaneously. Go into the 90s, and in the 90s, this is kind of like one of the first big manifestos that dropped, and this dropped in 1990. This was called Queers Read This. And this was, so I explained last week, there's a lot of confusion between the LGBTQ movement and the queer Marxist movement, like what I'm going to call the normie gay rights movement, and then the militant queer Marxists. Because for a long time, the normie gay rights movement and the militant queer Marxists were really working side by side. They were working side by side in the 70s. They were working side by side in the 80s for ACT UP. At the beginning of the 90s, basically kind of marked by the release of this manifesto by what was it, by Queer Nation is the ones that dropped this. Oh, I'm gonna forget. I'm pretty sure it was Queer Nation. What was the name of the organization that dropped this, guys? It was Queer Nation, right? I'm pretty sure it was Queer Nation. This was a pamphlet that was handed out at the 1990 New York Pride. So what happened kind of starting around this time period was there started to be a schism between kind of the normie gay rights movement and the militant queer activists, because although they may have had some things in common, they didn't have everything in common. And the normie gay rights movement was basically like, we just want to get married, bro. We just want to get married. We just want to visit our loved ones in the hospital and all that stuff. And the militant queer Marxist movement was like, we are an anti-assimilationist, anti-capitalist, far-left political ideology. We don't want to get married. We don't want to serve in the military. We don't want to do any of these things. So you started seeing this schism that happened between the normie gay rights activists who really just wanted to be able to get married and the militant queer Marxists who are pushing a far-left, anti-assimilationist, anti-capitalist political ideology. And that kind of continued into the 2000s, where there was a massive schism between the two. And that essentially, the queer Marxist movement are essentially the ones that we're dealing with today, whereas most of the normie gay rights activists kind of went home after they got gay marriage legalized. So this is something we talk about quite a bit in terms of understanding who are the actual leftists that we're dealing with. How did this thing actually develop? We call it gain-of-function Marxism, because what we're dealing with the queer Marxist left is not just like, it's not Marx, it's not Hegel, it's not even, it's a little Foucault, I will say that. It's a smidgen Foucault, a smidgen Butler. But really, it's this kind of like morphed thing that also integrated the ACT UP movement, militant direct action. It integrated the queercore stuff that was going on in the punk community. And so what we're dealing with today is kind of like a mutated strain of queer Marxism. And this is one of the major documents that really drove the whole thing. And this was handed out at the 1990 New York City Pride Festival. And we're going to read it. And we're going to go back into the archive and we're going to see what they were talking about then, except that we're not actually going to read it. We're going to listen to a tranny read it. Because why not? Why not listen to a tranny read it? I think that's going to be more fun for everyone. So we do have access to the document, so people are going to be able to follow along. Is Marty being uppity in the chat already? Oh, yeah, Marty. Okay, Marty. All right. Oh. Okay, Marty. Okay. Settle down. So we are going to listen to the tranny read Queers Read This, and that's going to be the serious side of the stream, and we are going to do that for a couple hours. Now, before we get into that, I have to do an update on this one. This is like... I don't even have words. As people are filing in, I'm going to do the BigTech update, and then we're going to do the serious stuff when there are more people here. I don't even have words for how absurd this situation is and how, you know what? It's good. It's good. I'm not even mad at it. Oh, by the way, actually, before I get into that, just to let everyone know, in addition to this stream, we are doing a supporter-exclusive spy stream starting around 7:30 tonight. So we're not just doing the Queers Read This stuff. We are also doing a supporter-exclusive spy stream a little bit later on. If you're a supporter on my Substack, my Locals, my Patreon, my YouTube channel members, or my Twitter subscribers, you have access to this spy stream. I posted the information all over those platforms. So we are going to be going inside, and I'm just going to tell you what it is because I don't really care. I just want to do it as a supporter-exclusive stream so people don't cause problems for me. But we're going to be going inside the National Democratic Socialists of America organizing call tonight. They're having a call to talk about Zoran Mandami's win. They're having a call to talk about what does this mean for the DSA more nationally. So we'll be doing that at 8. Well, it starts at, I'm going to start the stream around 7:30, 7:45 p.m. tonight. You guys can find the links to the stream on whichever platform you're a supporter on. This is going to be a supporter exclusive just to cut down on the amount of nonsense that I might have to deal with to actually make this work. And so we're going to be doing that at 8 p.m. We're going to be reading Queers Read This. I guess I'm telling you guys this because I'm doing 2 serious streams today. And so if I take a little bit of time at the beginning of this stream and I talk about what's going on with this one, you'll all forgive me. Because you can't say, Karlyn, you need to focus. I am focused. I am. I promise I am. But I can't. We have to talk about this. Okay, so here is the BigTech update. As you guys know, last night, well, some of you might know, last night there was a deal brokered. And the deal was if I watch the music video that made me look very emo and was actually kind of rather lovely, if I'm being honest about it. I actually kind of loved it. I'm not even coping. He thinks I'm laughing because I'm coping. No, I actually loved it. I actually thought it was great. But so he made this music video about me where I looked very emo, and he wrote a song that was based on exactly what I said, but he put it to music and all this stuff, and he played it over a clip of me, and it was like lighthearted and funny and all this stuff. And the deal that was brokered was that he would unblock me on Twitter if I played the music video. And I kind of had it in the back. I knew something else was going on. I knew there was another shoe that was going to drop. And do you guys know how I knew there was another shoe that was going to drop? Oh gosh. Let me do this. Do you guys know how I knew there was another shoe that was going to drop? See, I'm not going to be able to find the cards because I didn't pull them beforehand. So, as you guys know, I use tarot cards. Oh, there it is. That actually wasn't that hard to find. As you guys know, I use tarot cards all the time. And so anytime I have interactions like this with people on the internet, I do pull tarot cards on it. I know how to read tarot cards. I know how to read energy. I also use AI to like help me track all this stuff so I can see how energy changes over time and stuff like that. Well, yesterday I'm pulling cards on this situation with him because I'm like, do I watch this video? Do I watch this video? What's going to go on if I watch this video? And I basically, when I'm doing cards on situations like this, I ask a bunch of different questions. Like I ask different facets of the question in different ways, and I kind of triangulate the whole thing together. I don't just rely on one pull. So let me show you what card kept coming up over and over and over again for him yesterday. As I'm like, do I do this stream? Do I do this stream? I kept getting this card over and over and over again. This is the 10 of Swords. This is about the worst card that you can get in the deck. This is like, it can't get any worse than this. So I was like, oh, he's really pissed off. I was like, he's really pissed off about something, and I think I know what that something is. And that something was me yelling up on Socialism Saturday because I was pissed off at him because he had not yet unblocked me on Twitter, and I was very upset about that. And I feel like I had every right to be upset about that, and I don't feel like he should be dictating to me what emotions I can and cannot have on the internet. It's my stream. I'll do what I want. But anyway, I kept getting this card for him, and that's kind of unusual. Actually, like I pull cards on a bunch of different people. This card doesn't come up all that often, and I can't actually remember another time when it's come up for him, especially like it came up like 3 readings in a row. And you got to just think of the proportion of this. Every time I do a tarot card reading, I pull 3 cards. It's a 78 card deck. What are the odds that and you shuffle in between? There's like full on shuffles in between. It's not like you can't fake this. So what are the odds that one single card is going to come up literally 3 readings in a row? This is how you know tarot cards are not a joke. They actually do work. You have to pay attention. So this card kept coming up, and I was like, oh, he's pissed at me about something. And so I kind of thought that he was probably pissed off about me yelling at him on Socialism Saturday. And it turns out I was right. It turns out, I know, like to the shock and amazement of everyone, I was right. He was upset about it. And so after I did the stream last night, which I thought actually went really well, I was actually not that upset. I was not upset at all about the song. I thought, well played, good sir. Well played, good sir. And so after I signed off from my stream, well, he kept streaming. And on his stream, and we're not going to watch the whole thing because I don't got time for that. I got other stuff I got to do. on that stream, he told his audience that I am possessed by a demon, and because I am and he talked to the demon that's possessing me, and he channeled and meditated the demon that is possessing me. And he said that the demon told him that it is his responsibility to bully me on the internet, to make me mad, because if he makes me mad on the internet, I feed the anger to the demon, and then the demon stays with me instead of being unleashed on the world. So he says, I thought this is you have to give him points for creativity at least, right? So he thinks it is his job, or this story, I should say, the story that he is performing is that it is his job for him and his audience to bully me on the internet in order to make me mad, in order to feed the demon. And so at first, I gotta be honest. At first, I was like, when I saw this happening, I was like, oh, we're still fighting. Oh God, we're still fucking fighting. And at first I was like, no, 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 I don't want to. And I was like, no. But then I remembered the Ten of Swords wasn't the only card that had come up several times in the readings I had done about him. Do you know what the other card was that came up in the readings I did about him? The Page of Wands. Now, what is about the Page of Wands? The Page of Wands is a fiery boy that has fiery boy energy that may not necessarily know exactly, like, it's like an immature energy. It's like, but it's also not malicious is the thing. This is like a playful energy. This is like a poking energy. This is like I'm pulling your hair on the playground sort of energy. That's what this is. And that was another card that had come up for him in several readings. So after I was kind of like slightly annoyed about the situation, and I was like, this is just going to go on forever, isn't it? After I was slightly annoyed about it, I kind of sat back and I thought about it. And I didn't watch the whole stream that he did about me last night, but I tuned in just here and there. And I was like, I was watching it and I was like, he's not even upset. This is not serious. He's not trying to hurt me. This is the Page of Wands. This is literally just boy on the playground pulling the pigtails energy, either because he's bored or he wants to see what I'll do, or he wants to provoke a reaction. I definitely think he wants to provoke a reaction. I think he wants me engaging with him in some way. And, you know, this might be in his world, the way that he is going to do it. He's trying to get me out of those Twitter spaces. Oh no. Well, see, we'll just see. We'll just see if that happens. I'm not actually that worried about it because, as always with the Twitter spaces, I can literally just use another account or I can just listen anonymously. It's actually not that big of a deal. So I'm like looking at this situation and I'm like, he's not even mad about this. This kind of, and to be honest, the few minutes that I watched of the stream that he did about me the other day, the reason I stopped watching it is I kind of thought the same thing. I was like, he's not even upset. Like, this is not real. He's not actually mad. He's playing around on the internet and he's trying to provoke a reaction, but it doesn't make any sense for me to play into this with anger because he's not angry. Why would I feed anger into the situation? He says he's trying to make me angry, but is he really trying to make me angry? Because I just don't get the sense that he's actually trying to make me angry. I don't get the sense that he's actually trying to be malicious and destructive. I just get the sense that he wants to play around on the internet and poke buttons and see what happens. And he wants to engage in a little back and forth where we play fight on the internet for performance, which I'm more than happy to do because that can actually be really fun and it can make some interesting content. And, you know, I mean, it's a storyline that Naptown can use to make videos out of and all that good stuff. And so I'm not actually upset about this. is the thing. And I want people to know this, and I really want my audience to hear me on this. I don't want people to be mean to him. I don't want people to attack him. I'm not actually upset. And I told him this last night when I responded to his live stream, and I said, this is actually a really fascinating exercise to go through. I triggered you with accurate psychological analysis. Okay, maybe I shouldn't have done that, but I was obviously right. That took you out of control, and now you're trying to regain power and be powerful. And there's nothing you hate more than feeling out of control. So if my analysis was right, and it obviously was, this was predictable validation for me, I guess. I mean, I have to say this. I'm shocked at how accurately I've got his energy clocked. I've got his energy so clocked. It's not even funny. And I didn't even know going into like the last several days with this back and forth with him, I didn't even know how accurate my read was on him. I kind of thought maybe I probably had some of it right, but like he just keeps demonstrating over and over and over again just how accurately I've pegged this. And that's actually it really is validating for me. It's a very interesting experiment because, okay, I do pull tarot cards on things, but even sometimes I'm like, is this even accurate? Does this even work? Why am I even doing this? This is dumb. This isn't even the right thing. Da 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 da. And then when you just have a situation like this where it's like, oh no, this is actually incredibly accurate and it's describing everything that he's doing and this is crazy and it's very validating for the approach that I'm using. So I'm not actually making that up. I'm actually really thrilled about this. Honestly, though, I understand why you're upset and I'm not even mad. This is kind of my fault. And while I don't exactly feel bad about it, maybe I didn't have to push you that far. Yeah, that's actually true. And listen, like part of the reason I'm not mad about this and part of the reason I'm not upset about it is I did absolutely provoke this. I did absolutely provoke it. And how I provoked it is I DM'd him psychological analysis about himself that he doesn't want to face because he's not ready to face, but I'm a mirror for him and he's actually a mirror for me too, which I think he knows. But I'm holding up a mirror and I'm saying, "Here's all your bullshit, bro." And I kind of did it from perhaps a Page of Wands perspective. Perhaps he is not the only Page of Wands in this situation. I am an Aries. It is the most immature of all spiritual signs. I like to poke. I like to instigate. I'm a fire starter. Fun fact. Did you guys know, because I know his astrological chart, did you guys know that he and I both have Mars in Aries? We also both have Venus in Aries, which is actually really weird. It's like a 1 in 24,000 chance that actually happens. But he and I both have Mars in Aries. What does that mean? What does that mean? Hang on. What does that mean exactly? This is us. Or rather, at the moment, not that one, this one. At the moment, this is us. I, of course, am the Queen of Wands. There is no one more Queen of Wands than me. At the moment, he's this. But what he's trying to be is this, the King of Wands. That's what he's trying to be. Because right now, I feel like he is acting out this thing where he feels like beneath me to a certain extent. I don't see it that way, but I think he sees it that way. And I think this little activity is to rebalance. Not that he necessarily wants to be above me, although maybe he does. But I think it's more about getting on even footing from his perspective. He wants to be this. He wants to be the King of Wands. He wants to be the person leading the situation. And so that, I think, is what he's trying to achieve here. And I think the reason that he's trying to achieve that is because I accurately clocked his psychology and he didn't like the mirror I held up and he's having feelings about that. And so now he's trying to rebalance the situation and that's fine. You know what? This is my fault. I was being a little trolly. I was trying to get under his skin and I was obviously successful at it. And so now I feel like I just have to allow this to play out. I have to allow him to thrash around a little bit and, maybe make fun of me and stuff like that. But the thing that I learned about being around the Groypers, and he says that, the Groypers never liked me. Well, some of them never liked me. That's true. But Some of them actually did, and I am still friends with some of them, but, like, I actually learned a lot being around the Groypers. I actually don't have any ill will towards many of the Groypers, if I'm honest about it. I just didn't like getting attacked by as many as I did, how many times I did. So, I don't actually but there's a lot that I learned being around the Groypers for a couple years, and I was in all their group chats for a while, and I was, seeing all sorts of stuff. One of the things I learned about the Groypers is that if they're teasing you, it's not like they were just teasing me. They tease each other all the time. This is what boys do. This is how boys relate. They tease each other and they shit talk each other, and this is how they communicate, okay? And so if they're teasing you and they're pulling your pigtails on the playground, that's actually a positive thing because it's actually kind of like it's their way of communicating, it's their way of showing love. I'm not saying romantic love, I'm saying just it's not a malicious thing. It's more just like it's a way of connecting, it's a way of bonding. And so I think that's what's going on. So I said, you want a way to interact with me and you don't know how to do it while managing the image you want to maintain, the King of Wands. And so it comes out like this: ego, power, control, very Page of Wands energy. Well, he is being like a big child. And actually it's kind of endearing, if I'm being honest about it. He's a big kid. This is how you have to understand his energy. He's like a big kid. Like a big kid swinging a sword because he hasn't yet learned how to relax. That's okay. So go ahead. I'm not going to give you the angry reaction you want because I'm not mad. I'm really not mad. And it will be fascinating to see what you do. And I actually mean that. I'm fascinated to see how this all plays out. So I posted this in response to his stream, and he was relitigating something that happened a year ago. He was like, when I posted this last night, he was relitigating kind of the whole me releasing DMs that he didn't want public on the internet thing. And so he didn't see it at first. So then I had to delete it, and then I tagged him in it to make sure that he saw it. Because the reason that I posted it when I did was because I wanted him to react to it on stream because it was fucking late and I wanted to go to bed. But I did actually want to see him read this on stream just to see his reaction as he's wearing some stupid pink sunglasses trying to look like the Unabomber. But let's just play this real quick. And I don't know if I may have a little bit more to say about it, but let me just play you him reading that message that I just wrote there.
Accurate psychological analysis.
Hang on. We need to go back. He's got some He's got a whole. I will say this.
She's tweeting again.
I did tweet again. I will say this. I really like his sign. I think that's real. I bet he made that. It's a really cool neon sign, honestly.
This is actually a really fascinating exercise to go through, BigTech.
It is, yeah.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Okay. Algoth, speak to me. I triggered you with accurate psychological analysis that, okay, maybe I shouldn't have done, but I was obviously right. Is she going to tell us what that is? No. Does anybody know what fuck she's talking about? No.
See, and this is how I knew. This is exactly how I knew. I was like, I see what this is now. Is she going to tell anyone what that analysis is? Well, I don't have to, do I, darling? Because the analysis is in your DMs on Discord. And I know you know what it is. And so what people have to keep in mind is there are things that have been said in DMs between him and I that you guys don't know about because it hasn't been released. And in this case, there have been many times when I tried to get under his skin and trigger him by analyzing his psychology. And he knows it. And so he can pretend all he wants that this hasn't happened, but he knows it's happened. And I know it's happened. And now we both know that I was completely accurate with what I said. And he doesn't like it because he feels like I'm taking him out of control. And he is right about that. And maybe I shouldn't have done that. And again, this is why I'm allowing this whole thing to kind of play out a little bit and to allow him to thrash about, because I know exactly. brought it on myself to a certain extent. And sometimes, you know what, listen, sometimes we have to take responsibility for our actions. Sometimes we have to say, Karlyn, if you shit talk someone's psychology in DMs, maybe they're going to be pissed off about that and maybe they're going to have a reaction to that. Okay, fair enough, fine. But he does know what I'm talking about and there's no doubt about it. But he wants to pretend he doesn't.
Triggered you with accurate psychological analysis?
Yeah.
What the fuck is she talking about?
You know what I'm talking about.
That took you out of control, and now you're trying to regain control to be powerful.
Yeah.
Still don't know what you're talking about. There's nothing you hate more than feeling out of control. More projection.
True.
You're literally grasping for control right now with this tweet. Feed Algoth. There's nothing you hate more than feeling out of control. Projection. So if my analysis was right, obviously, nobody knows what you're talking about. This was predictable. Validation for me.
Nobody knows what you're talking about. And that's the game, isn't it?
Control right now with this tweet, Karlyn. Feed Algoth. There's nothing you hate more than feeling out of control. Projection. So if my analysis was right, obviously, nobody knows what you're talking about. This was predictable. Validation for me, I guess. Yeah, keep validating yourself.
I will keep validating
Perfect.
myself. Thanks. Thanks.
Honestly, though, I understand why you're upset. I'm not upset. More projection. Oh, you're upset? Who's upset, Karlyn? Who was begging to be unblocked?
Begging?
Willing to do just about anything?
Well, all I did was watch a video. Just about anything. All I did
And
was
I'm not
watch
even
a
mad.
video.
Yep, not mad. Guys, is she not mad? When she says that you're upset and I'm not mad. No, Algoth's not upset. Algoth is happy. Algoth feeds on Karlyn's upset. When Karlyn is upset, Algoth is fed. When Karlyn is channeling negative emotions through receiving reflections from the outside world that she then has to like cope and seethe about and like
Receiving reflections, almost like a mirror. Almost like I'm a mirror for you, you're trying to be a mirror for me to match my energy so we're on the same level. Got it.
like spin narratives and do damage control with texts like this. When she has to, this is coming from a place of her pain.
Jennifer,
Default mood is-
Jennifer, I'm really glad you're here. Jennifer, you're going to be so proud of me. I cast a spell earlier and I'm going to talk about the spell. And I know I shouldn't talk about the spell, but it's more fun for me if I talk about the spell. And I need your approval on the spell that I cast. And if I cast it wrong, I need you to tell me that I cast it wrong so that I can go and change it. You were summoned. Jennifer, I had to get up early to go to the store this morning to get the materials to cast a spell. Aren't you proud of me? Oh dear. Yeah, exactly. It's okay, guys. Jennifer's a real witch. If I cast the spell wrong, she's going to tell me. I only dabble in such affairs, but I'm pretty sure I did it right.
Is mad. It's not even exactly mad. She doesn't even really, I mean, she does get mad. Let's get real, but it's cope.
I'll tell you about the spell in a second. You'll see.
And it's cope for anger. So you're right. But this is cope. So she has to write this cope post.
To get you to respond to it on stream while
Coping
I was
with
watching.
what? How she feels. And the feeling is what feeds Algoth.
Yeah, it's theosophical witchcraft.
This is kind of my fault, she says. Reverse it. This is not my fault. That's what she's saying. And while I don't exactly feel bad about it,
Jennifer, you know how we were talking about on Disenrage this past week about how maybe you're just not ready to let this go, Karlyn? Well, apparently not. And apparently I'm not the only one that's not ready to let it go. Apparently there are two people that are not ready to let it go.
maybe I didn't have to push you so far like that. Again, grasping for control. Karlyn, you didn't push me anywhere.
Yeah.
See how it's a posturing that she's the queen, she's in control, she's in the driver's seat. Puppet
Because
Master Karlyn.
he wants to be in
Maybe I
control.
shouldn't have pulled your strings and done all these things.
I'm
to
literally
you
the
that I
queen.
did that was totally my choosing.
He wants that. No, Jennifer. Jennifer, what he's saying is I have a demon possessing me, and he talked to my demon, and the demon wants him to bully me on the internet to make me mad so that it feeds the demon energy, and that's what he's doing. He's saying that I have the demon and it's his job to bully me so that the demon gets fed negative energy when I get mad.
You want a way to interact with me? I want a way to interact with her. Look at that.
Yeah, Jennifer's already excised me once of a demon. She can do it again.
Has there ever been a more dense
I know.
level of projection?
I know.
You want a way to interact with me. Karlyn, your stream tonight was a stream that you did begging me to unblock you.
And now you're doing an entire follow-up stream about how you're going to bully me just to interact with me because you think I have a demon. You're literally, you guys know what he's doing, right? He is now on this mission to watch a ton of my content with his audience, and he thinks that somehow proves that he doesn't want to interact with me. This is what he's saying. He's like, I'm going to A-log you. I'm going to watch all your content with my audience, even though they all hate my voice or whatever. And he's like saying, like, I'm going to watch your content all the time, even though it's going to be really boring. I'm like, you're telling me you don't want to interact with me when you're literally creating a scenario in which you say I have a demon inside me that is forcing you to watch all of my content to bully me? Okay.
As Algoth talking through Karlyn. Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Oh no, you'll be watching
That's actually
socialism.
true.
No.
Well, it's still always inverted. Algoth desperately wanted to interact with us. We are the source. He feasts on her through her interaction with us. And you don't know how to do
The
it
voice
while
just said
managing the
Queen of
image
Hell.
that you want to maintain, so it comes out like this. So she's saying that I've been grasping for a way to interact with her without letting you guys know that I really want to.
Yeah.
Ego, power control. Oh yeah, that's me. Not you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Mars and Aries.
Karlyn.
Okay, Mars and Aries.
Get fucking real.
Okay. Okay, Mars
Nobody
and
more
Aries.
obsessed with power and control over the narrative and whatever.
Okay, Mars and
All up in
Aries.
their ego. Except for maybe Ethan Ralph.
Mm.
I think you're a close second on Ralph.
Okay. Queen of Hell.
Very Page of Wands energy.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
a big kid swinging his sword around because he hasn't learned how to relax yet. That's
Mhm.
okay. That's literally you every time you stream about me. So go ahead. I'm not going to give you the angry reaction you want. Yeah, you are. Because I'm not mad. Screen cap. I get it. And it will be fascinating to see what you do. Yeah, it will.
Yeah, it will. Yeah.
Oh, it will.
Yeah. And now he's gonna screen cap it because he's afraid I'm gonna
In case
delete
this
it.
tweet comes down. I mean, I could just save this tweet, but we're going to need that screen cap. I'm not mad, and I'm not going to give you the reaction you want.
Yeah.
It's not up to you, Karlyn.
Mm.
It's up to Algoth.
So that's just a little taste of what's going on. And so just to take precautions, because again, I'm not mad. I'm really I think this is awesome. I think this is great. But I did cast a spell. I cast a spell. And so I did a spell just because I do actually want to contain any sort of like negative or malicious or destructive energy. I don't want him actually to be able to hurt me while we play out this little game, because what I wanted to do was create an environment where he could thrash around and do whatever he wants to do, and be the page of cups for a little, or excuse me, the page of wands for a little while, and then maybe he graduates to being the knight of wands for a little while, and then maybe he goes all the way to eventually being the king of wands and feeling like he's in control of the situation again. But I wanted to create a contained environment for him in which he can thrash around, but he can't really hurt me and he can't really hurt my work and all this stuff. And I've always said that, like, I'm not actually afraid of anything he might do to me. I've had so much shit done to me on the internet. There's just like there's nothing that he can do to me that either he hasn't already done or that someone else hasn't already done. And so it's like I'm actually a really boring person at the end of the day. There's no really big skeletons. The biggest skeleton people have been able to find is the guy I dated in college. That's it. So I cast a spell, and it's a binding spell and a freezing spell and a mirroring spell, but it's not, it binds the shadow energy. So basically I've created a little contained environment where he can't really hurt me. The negative energy or destructive or malicious energy can't really get to me. And if he actually tries to pull anything that's like, anything he does to me is going to bounce off me and go right back to him. And so basically I wrote all this up on a piece of paper. And normally I wouldn't even share that I did this because, you know, you should probably keep it a secret. And I know that's part of the thing and it would work better if but we're having fun here on the internet. And I don't think he does magic. And I know he understands about energy. I know he understands about chakras. I know he understands how the universe works and all that stuff. I don't actually ever think he's done magic, though. And so I'm not actually afraid that he can break this spell or get around this spell. And I wrote it on a little piece of paper, and then I put it in a little jar. And I sealed the jar and I wrapped it in tinfoil. And then I put it in a bag and then I wrapped it in tinfoil again because that's reflective. That's the mirror. And then I stuck it in my freezer. And so his energy is contained. The destructive, malicious energy is contained and it can't hurt me. And the reason I want people to know that is because I don't want you to be mad at him. I don't want you to be upset at him. I don't want anyone to react towards him. I want to let this little thing play out. And I actually think this could be fun. And I think this could actually be very informative to me about how to be better with this. And that would be helpful to me. And, you know, sometimes we need a break on the internet. And if BigTech wants to play and he wants to bat back and forth and he wants to, I always said I thought he wanted to fight with me. Did I not say I was like, he wants to fight with me? He wants to fight with me. He's not trying to make peace. He's not trying to cut down on drama. He's actually trying to fight with me. The jar is going to stay in the freezer until I choose to release the spell because only I can release the spell. So the jar will stay in the freezer until I release the spell. It's well written and you hit all the reflection and freezing parts of that kind of spell. I've done that see? I'm not a witch like Jennifer, but I know enough to be dangerous and I've been around these circles. I know how to do a binding and freezing spell. I know how to do all this. All right. So there can be a side effect though. Oh, great. Well, you can tell me about the side effect later, but the moral of the story is his negative destructive energy is contained. It still allows kind of playful teasing energy through because I think that actually might be not necessarily the worst thing in the world. And so we're just going to see how this goes. And he can watch as much of my content as he wants. Listen, so there are a couple things I want to say. Number one, so he is going to go back probably and watch a lot of my old content where I'm yelling and I'm doing all this, that, and the other thing. And the thing of it is like, listen, I've certainly been on a journey on the internet in the last 5 years. And what I've always said is that my number one goal, if I was going to do this thing on the internet, it was going to be that I was going to have an authentic human experience. I was going to document the highs, the lows, the happiness, the anger, the frustration, the depression. There's a lot of depression there for a couple of years, I'll tell you that. The joy, the community, the camaraderie, the hilarity of this whole thing. I wanted to show a full spectrum of human experiences. So can you find videos where I'm angry and yelling and depressed? Because I was really depressed for a while because I actually don't like being a public person. Yeah, you can. And that's all part of my journey. And he's probably gonna watch those and he's gonna twist them, he's gonna exploit them, he's gonna make fun of them and all this stuff. And like, whatever. That's been my journey. My journey is my journey for better or worse. And so if he wants to go back and watch old videos, go have fun, bro. Go do it to it. Maybe he wants to watch some socialism videos with his audience and make fun of that. I mean, I think that'd be probably a little bit more productive. And so I'm not ashamed of like anything that I've done because it's all been a part of my journey and it is what it is. And I think that again, for better or worse, and I've been through a lot of shit, man. People who've been around from the beginning, they know this. I've been through a lot of shit, but I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today if I hadn't gone through the negative times. And I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today if I hadn't gone through the depression. And I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today if I hadn't gone through the harassment and the smear campaigns and all this stuff. And all of those things at the end of the day, they made me stronger and they set me up to do what I'm doing now. And it was a different time back then where I was trying to build something and I had a group of people that was actively trying to destroy my work, not from a playful page of wands, kind of like big kid perspective. I had actual malicious actors targeting me like every single day. And I made it through it and I made it to the other side. And now I'm in a completely different place where there's nothing really he can do to disrupt what I'm doing. There's nothing really he can do to disrupt things that I have going on in the background that I don't necessarily talk about online. Like he can try, I guess, but I don't think he's going to be successful at it. So I don't see any harm in letting him do what he wants to do. There's no reason for me to react with anger. But I will say this, the one thing that did bother me about what I saw on the stream last night was that at some point he said that he thought I was going to try to turn Adam Green against him. And that kind of bothered me because there's no way in the universe that that's going to happen. I don't like this internet culture where if someone has a problem with someone else, they then go to all that person's friends and they say, you shouldn't be friends with them for reason X, Y, B, and Z. And I think that's something also women do when they're like breaking up with someone or they're trying to divorce someone. So I think I understand why he thinks that. I'm sure his ex-wife did something similar like that to him. I'm sure other women have done something similar like that to him. But I have absolutely no intention of putting Adam Green or Amalek or any other mutual contact that we have in the middle of this. I think it's funny. I'm going to laugh at it. I'm never gonna try to be like, you shouldn't be friends with him because of reasons X, Y, B, and Z. That's stupid and that's petty, and that's just not the game that I play. So that was really the only thing that kind of upset me was that insinuation that I was going to try to turn Adam against him. I sent Adam a DM as soon as I heard that. I was like, hey, listen, Emo Mike is streaming on the internet right now saying I'm going to try to turn you against him. That's not going to happen. There should be no, no matter what, like, I don't be friends with whoever you want. It makes no difference to me. It's really none of my business. So that was the only thing that bothered me. Other than that, I think that this will be a fun little game that we play. And we see where he wants to take it. You know what? Like, Mike, you want to be the King of Wands? Where is it? You want to be the King of Wands? All right. You got the reins, bro. Take it where you want to take it. I'm following you. So we'll see where BigTech wants to take it. And that's really all I have to say about that. And I hope people are entertained. Are you not entertained? So getting into the content of the show today, guys, what we're going to be doing. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be watching this trans person read one of the primary guiding documents of queer activism today. This is a pamphlet called Queers Read This that was handed out at the 1990 New York Pride Parade. You can download it on that website if you would like to follow along there. We are going to be watching a trans person read it because that's just a little bit more entertaining for us. We're going to put this up for the Counter-Revolutionary Book Club. If you're not familiar with the Counter-Revolutionary Book Club, it is over on my Substack. Just go to Karlyn, KARLYN.substack.com. Click on book club. Now, admittedly, we've gotten a little off track with the Counter-Revolutionary Book Club. Admittedly, we've been reading some things that aren't on the list. But the Counter-Revolutionary Book Club, excuse me, is where we read basically the... Gosh. The Counter-Revolutionary Book Club is where we read kind of like the founding documents and the manifestos and the communiques, all of this like underground subcultural stuff that goes on in the queer Marxist community and has for a really long time. And basically we do podcasts, we break them down, we talk about them. There are other breakdowns of like Antifa documents and propaganda stuff like that over there. You can actually find this as a podcast over on Apple or Spotify. Just look for Counter-Revolutionary Book Club. And this is where you're going to go inside the documents that the far left writes, that the far left teaches for each other, things like that. And so I'll be posting this stuff there because I think it's probably the best place for it. Lots of other stuff you can find on the Substack too, including, just so you guys know, I did put my whole interview with Mel K up there. I had a great interview on the Mel K show last week. I love Mel K. She's awesome. She's a really smart lady. We had a great chat. Definitely check that out. We talked a lot about how the unions are organizing on the left, and some other things too. So you can find that on the Substack. Also, I really encourage everyone to go and subscribe to Mel K's YouTube channel. Not YouTube. Sorry, she's not on YouTube. Rumble channel. And also you can find the credentials for our supporter exclusive spy stream that we've got. We're going to be starting that in about an hour and a half. So that gives us about an hour and a half or maybe a little bit more to get through this hour-long video. So perfect timing. We got our big tech business out of the way. Big Tech's audience is now dispersed. They've gone back to report to Big Tech and tell him what happens, and they're going to be planning and, you know, all that stuff. And they can do that. That's fine. And we're going to listen to this tranny read queers read this, and that's what we're going to do. So if you guys have downloaded the thing in the chat, I'm going to get the video up. Guys, please make sure you mount the like button for me. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel if you have not already. I will put the chat on the screen so you can see the comments. If you guys have comments on what this document says as we're making our way through it, please feel free to put it in the chat. If you want to make fun of the tranny, that's fine too. But, you know, keep it civil and, you know, above board and keep it polite. I don't want any like hate speech in my chat or nothing like that. We don't do that shit on my chat, but if you have comments about what this document is saying... Oh, thank you, Naruto. Thank you. I apologize for that. There are super chats. The number of hosts over at the Daily Wire that support Israel keeps going down. Michael Knowles said recently that Israel is losing him after Israel bombed the only Catholic church in Gaza. Yeah, they didn't... Did you guys see Joel Berry from the Babylon Bee basically said that any Catholics in Gaza deserve to die? So you said, I'm rubber, you're glue, I'm magic. Yes, I basically did. So for Big Tech, yes, I basically did. I said, I'm rubber, you're glue. Whatever you do bounces off me and sticks to you. And so whatever. Anyway, we're going to dig into Queers Read This. We're going to find out what the queer activists were saying in 1990. And that's what we're going to do. And it's going to be really boring for people who just want drama. But that's what we're going to do. All right, guys, mount the like button for me. Let's get this party started.
For taking a chance on this weirdly random live stream broadcast, and tuning in for this reading of this historic queer document. Oh, hey. Light!
Whoa!
You would not believe the setup I have. Like a mini movie studio in my room. Anyway, I know I can talk fast. So
I think that's
what I'm going to be doing.
Oh, shit. I did not mean to do that, what I just did.
So,
no, I did not mean to do... Oh, no, I fucked everything up. No, go back to the last video. Go back to the last video. Why is everything screwing up now? Why? God damn it. Okay. We're going back to the last video. So,
thanks
Jennifer...
for taking a chance on this weirdly...
Stop playing. Jennifer, you're going to use the name Algoth in your spicy romance. I think that's a really good idea, Jennifer. I think the name Algoth should definitely make its way into a romantic fiction novel or erotic fiction novel, as it were. I think that's going to be great. You just hex the stream. Oh, great. Play.
Random live stream broadcast. And tuning
call
in
him Al
for
short.
This reading
it's a really good idea.
This historic queer document. Oh, hey. Light!
You had to hear that again.
You would not believe the setup I have. Like a mini movie studio. And my room. Anyway, I know I can talk fast. So what I'm going to be doing is reading a document, a zine called Queers Read This. And it was originally written by and published by and distributed by anonymous queers at the 1990 New York City Pride March, which makes it 30 years old this year, which is one of the reasons I felt like it was important to read it. It's also the 50th anniversary of the Christopher Street Liberation March, which was held to commemorate Stonewall just a year before that. And so it feels like a whole sort of ganging up of important moments that intersect with this document, with this piece of our history. And what this piece of our history is, besides a thing, besides a document, is it was a manifesto. It was something I found a few years ago. If you don't know me, I also have written for years a column called Ask a Trans Woman for the Rainbow Times. A big shout out to independent queer news sources. Go follow them, support them, and read my column. But what I was doing, I was doing a little bit of research.
Queer story,
I was
not
curious
history.
about where and when we started really reclaiming the word queer for ourselves.
It was in 1964, but
and in that research, I came
1990
across
would
this
also be a good
document
milestone
called "Queers Read This" with an exclamation point. So I read it because I'm,
So I just want to emphasize that. So going back to what I described earlier with the splintering of the LGBT activists and the queer activists, which I think 1990 is probably a good point where you can put the splintering starting to happen. What did this trainee just say? They said, and I say trainee with all due respect, by the way, I'm not using it as a pejorative. I'm just trying to be descriptive of the situation on the screen. This person just said they were researching when did we reclaim queer as an identity, as in a far left political identity. And they're saying Queers Read This came up in their research for when they reclaimed the word queer. Now, queer has always been an anti-capitalist term since like the 60s. That was the first reference to queer and anti-capitalism that I've been able to find so far. Maybe there are earlier ones, but 1964 is the early reference to it. I think this stuff really started bubbling up in the 70s, but in terms of like milestones that I think most queer activists understand, of course, there's Stonewall, which is the Stonewall riot where the police tried to take over, like raid a bar or something, and they threw bottles at them and all that sort of stuff. But then Queers Read This is another like milestone that many queer activists reference and talk about. It really is one of those things where like this is a document that every queer activist in the streets doing crazy stuff, they've all read this document. And so it might be one of those things where you think, well, I've never heard of this document. No one's ever talked about this document. That's because you're not in their subculture. They've all read this. This is part of their history. This is part of like the standard packet of materials that when you start interacting with people like this, they say, here are all the things you should read. And then you read those things. And this one is going to be like on basically the very top of the pile. Yeah, Reclaim suggested was theirs in the first place. Well, it's like the same thing as the pink triangle being a symbol for queer anarchism. The pink triangle being, what gay people had to wear during World War II, got reclaimed during the ACT UP movement, and then they're still using it now as an upside down pink triangle today.
Susceptible to suggestion, I guess, and curious. And it had a huge impact on me. If you've read my writing in the past or heard some of the political speeches I've given, you can hear its DNA in my writing and my words. It's hugely inspirational to me. I read it before I march for queer rights and trans rights and LGBTQ plus rights. I read it before I write And I feel that it is particularly relevant at this moment in time. 1990, when Queers Read This was written, was the height of the AIDS epidemic. We were just deep in it at that point. And it was when ACT UP was
Bing.
really getting its feet as an organization.
Oh yeah,
fighting,
ACT UP. You don't say.
Fighting for queer liberation. And we were starting to really come out of the shadows and say that we're not going to live in those shadows anymore. We're not going to be there anymore.
See you, Jennifer.
And so this document, which parts of it will sound a little dated. I haven't edited or changed anything. It's still pretty binary. There's a lot, despite using the phrase queer in a recognizable way, there's a lot of use of gay or lesbian as sort of umbrella terms in it. And very little mention of trans people, and a lot of mention of the AIDS epidemic and things going on in 1990 that were relevant to that. And there are a few things that come across as dated and maybe even hard to hear now, 30 years on. But we owe this place we're at in part to those seeds that they were planting then. So I would ask you to listen and try and keep an open mind and try and keep an open ear to it and hear the words you know now in the words they used then. And so after I finish reading, I will stick around and see if I can manage to take some questions or talk to you all. Like I said, my fiance Becky is looking at the feeds, but I'm not. I'm just talking to you. So I'm going to get started with reading. And in all irony, in front of all of these books, I have to read this from an iPad, which is sort of weird. But it was, if anybody has a copy of Queers Read This that they want to send to me, like I would, it would be an amazing thing to have a real honest to God's copy of that original pamphlet. But what I have is the internet. It also means that you can find this yourself. So let me drink some water and get started. I love you all. Thank you for being here. Queers Read This, published anonymously by Queers.
Oh, why does it keep doing that? Oh, because I'm on my keyboard.
How can I tell you? How can I convince you, brother, sister, that your life is in danger? That every day you wake up alive, relatively happy, and a functioning human being, you are committing a rebellious act. You, as an alive and functioning queer, are a revolutionary. There is nothing on this planet that validates, protects, or encourages your existence. It is a miracle you are standing here reading these words. You should, by all rights, be dead. Don't be fooled. Straight people own the world, and the only reason you have been...
Okay, I need to pause. You might think that when this person is saying straight people, they mean a man who wants to sleep with a woman or a woman who wants to sleep with a man. That would make sense unless you understand that these people don't care if you're gay or straight. Queer people don't even think about categorization in that way. What they mean is, do you uphold normative values, heteronormative values, cis heteronormative values? All of those words are fancy words for saying what? Of course, capitalism. Normativity means the norms that uphold capitalism. Straightness means normal. It means the norms that uphold the nuclear family, the norms that uphold the gender binary, all that stuff. So when you hear straight in this, they're not saying straight people as in a man and a woman. They're saying straight as in heteronormative.
Baird is your smart, lucky, or a fighter. Straight people have a privilege that allows them to do whatever they please and fuck without fear. But not only do they live a life free of fear, they flaunt their freedom in my face. Their images are on my TV, in the magazine I bought, in the restaurant I want to eat in, and on the street where I live. I want there to be a moratorium on straight marriage, on babies, on public displays of affection among the opposite.
That's an attack on the nuclear family, a moratorium on marriage. Remember, queer activists didn't want to get married. Queer activists never wanted gay marriage to be legalized because marriage is an assimilationist relationship that is a propertied relationship under the capitalist constitution. They also wanted a moratorium on babies because they don't want the nuclear family to exist because the nuclear family perpetuates the capitalist system.
Opposite sex and media images that promote heterosexuality. Until
Normativity.
I can enjoy the same freedom of movement and sexuality as straights,
Normativity.
their privilege must stop, and it must be given over to me and my queer sisters and brothers. Straight people will not do this voluntarily.
Normativity.
And so they must be forced into it. Straights must be frightened into it, terrorized into it. Fear is the most powerful motivation. No one will give us what we deserve. Rights are not given, they are taken.
Do you guys understand where militant queer activism came from now? This is one of the first manifestos of militant queer activism. Rights are not given, they are taken. We need to violently take them. This is what was circulating around the ACT UP movement. This is what got published in the zines. Yeah, they're angry. They're not happy about it. They're not happy about it. They don't want people to get married. They don't want people to have kids. They don't want people to live normative lifestyles because normative lifestyles are the opposite of queer.
By force, if necessary. It is easier to fight when you know who your enemy is. Straight people
Capitalism
are your enemy. They are your enemy when they don't acknowledge your invisibility and continue to live in and contribute to culture.
Hang on. You literally have no basis to say this. And I'm getting really sick of you guys doing this. Where's your evidence, sir? Where are your receipts? Do you have any proof at all? Or are you just saying, he's a pedophile? Do you know how retarded that is? What these people want to do has nothing to do with sexualizing kids. This is what we call a conservative bullshit narrative because you guys are so distracted by this that it allows you to ignore what's actually going on. And every time you guys push this shit, you ignore what they're actually doing, which is trying to abolish gender and the nuclear family and the norms that uphold our society, because apparently that's not important enough to you if you can just scream, paddle, 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 groomer, 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 paddle, 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 groomer, groomer, groomer. So we hinge it to reality here. We don't do this bullshit. Unless you have actual proof, cut it out. Why do they feel the need to specify straight marriage? They don't want any marriage. They don't want gay marriage either. They're saying straight marriage because what they're saying, again, as I very, very clearly explained, straight marriage means the nuclear family. It means normativity. It means the norms that uphold capitalism. The nuclear family is the reproduction house of capitalism. The nuclear family is where capitalism is reproduced. When they're saying straight marriage, they're saying capitalist marriage. They're saying normative marriage. That's what they're saying. Let's see. Tipsy Topsy over on Rumble says, do these people expect us not to recognize neo-Marxist practice language and ignore the Well, it's not Gnostic. Like, I wouldn't say so. The person over on Rumble is saying that this is Gnosticism. No, it's not. Don't repeat James Lindsay's bullshit talking points in my chat. It's not Gnostic at all.
That kills you. Every day, one of us is taken by the enemy. Whether it's an AIDS death due to a homophobic government inaction or a lesbian bashing in an all-night diner in a supposedly lesbian neighborhood. An army of lovers cannot lose. Being queer
Hang on.
is not a
This is another conservative bullshit talking point. Do they want people to not have anything because they feel they can't achieve on their own? They are achieving on their own. They're creating an entire subculture that is dictating what is taught in public schools today. In 1990, when this document was released, that's when they started. That's when they were organizing. That is when they were cultivating this ideology under a Republican president, by the way. And this is when queer ideology really started getting pushed into public schools. So I don't know on what basis you can actually say they haven't achieved anything. They took over the public schools and queered 40% of kids in public schools within a couple generations. They have publicly integrated into almost every public school in the country that gender is not a real thing. You guys don't even know about this document, and this document came out over 30 years ago. How are you possibly saying they haven't achieved anything? They have achieved explicitly their goals based on what their goals are, which is not the same as your goals. This is why I stopped to explain to you that when they say straight, they don't mean man and woman, they mean capitalist. They mean normativity. So when you're hearing the word straight, you need to code switch in your head to say capitalist normativity, because that's what's confusing you. Essentially what's confusing you is that you didn't listen to the explicit instructions I gave you, and then you wonder why you're confused. You're confused because you didn't listen to the explicit instructions I gave you to hear for capitalism and normativity when they say straight.
about a right to privacy. It is about the freedom to be public, to just be who we are. It means every day fighting oppression, homophobia, racism, misogyny, and bigotry of religious hypocrites and our own self-hatred. We have been carefully taught to hate ourselves. And now, of course, it means fighting a virus as well, and all those homo haters who are using AIDS to wipe us off the face of the earth. Being queer means leading a different sort of life.
Anti-assimilationist
It's
life.
not about the mainstream, profit margins, patriotism, patriarchy.
It's not about the mainstream and profit margins. You don't say. Does anyone find that coincidental that the first time he's talking about what queer actually means, he says it's not about the profit margins? Because queer is an anti-capitalist ideology. Queer is an anti-assimilationist ideology. Even though you're looking at a tranny on screen right now, and I understand why this might be confusing, being queer has nothing to do with being trans. A person can be trans and not be queer. Being queer has nothing to do with being gay. A person can be gay and not be queer. You can be a straight white man and be queer if you adopt an anti-capitalist political ideology that is designed to undermine normativity and the nuclear family and the gender binary and all that stuff. They're saying it's against the profit margins because they're making a direct reference to capitalism. Yeah, didn't say sexuality first, didn't say gender first. Profits.
Face of the earth. Being queer means leading a different sort of life. It's not about the mainstream, profit margins, patriotism, patriarchy, or being assimilated.
Anti-assimilation.
It's not about executive directors,
oh yeah,
privilege, and elitism.
Capitalism.
It's about being on the margins, defining ourselves. It's about gender fuck and secrets, what's beneath the belt and deep inside the heart. It's about the night. Being queer is grassroots because we know that every one of us, every body, every cunt, every heart and ass and dick is a world of pleasure waiting to be explored. Every one of us is a world of infinite possibility. We are an army because we have to be. We are an army because we are so powerful. We have so much to fight for. We are the most precious of endangered species. And we are an army of lovers because it is we who know what love is. Desire and lust, we invented them. We come out of the closet, face the rejection of society, face firing squads just to love each other. Every time we fuck, we win. We must fight for ourselves. No one else is going to do it. And if in that process we bring greater freedom to the world at large, then great. We've given so much to that world. Democracy, all the arts, the concepts of love, philosophy, and the soul, to name just a few from our ancient Greek dykes, fags. Let's make every space a lesbian and gay space. Every street a part of our sexual geography, a city of yearning and then total satisfaction, a city and a country where we can be safe and free and more. We must look at our lives and see what's best in them. See what is queer and what is straight, and let that straight chaff fall away. Remember, there is so little time.
Again, when they're saying queer and straight, straight is representative of an assimilationist lifestyle in which you're settling down and you're getting married and you're buying a car and you have a job and you're buying a house and you're having kids and all that stuff. That's what they mean by straight. They don't mean heterosexual, even though they might say that. That's not what they mean. They mean upholding normativity, whereas queer is an anti-capitalist, anti-assimilationist ideology. It is the opposite. No. Bro. I mean, obviously they started a movement, but they've got to have a catalyst for being anti-capitalist. It's because they've always been like this. This has always been what it is, bro. From the very beginning, it's always been like this. You might be one of those people that believe that this all started under Obama. This did not start under Obama. You are listening to a pamphlet that was written in 1990 when George H.W. Bush was president. This did not start under Obama. This was in the underground punk scene in the 80s and the 70s and the 60s. There are documents going back calling queer an anti-capitalist, anti-assimilationist ideology. There are zines going back that far. Just because you didn't know about it and you are an uninformed person who's learning about it for the first time because you watch media that never told you this stuff doesn't mean your conservative bullshit talking points are correct. Have you heard them say one thing about wanting a handout from the government? No, you haven't. Do you want to know why? They want to abolish the government and destroy the government. They believe it's the capitalist U.S. government that they want to overturn. So you can keep grasping your bullshit talking points if you want, if it makes you feel better about how ignorant you are about this entire ideology, or you can shut your fucking mouth and you can listen to what's being said, because what's actually being said and what's actually in this document has no relevance to your perspective of they're just lazy and want government handouts. What about what is in this document? What about in the actual text of this document is saying to you, we're lazy and we want a government handout? They haven't said anything to that effect at all. So why are you making shit up in my chat? When what you should be doing is zipping it and listening to what's being said. And if you have a real question, not an owning the libs, dunking on the libs question because you want to feel like a big man because your media lied to you for all these years and you're just finding out about this stuff for the first time and you're feeling a little self-conscious about that, maybe asking a question and being inquisitive would be a better strategy. I'm just saying. Richard, thank you for the super chat. Can one be a militant Marxist and not be queer? Yes. There are absolutely Marxist groups that are not queer and that don't embrace queer ideology. The Revolutionary Communists of America come to mind. They usually don't embrace queer ideology, although there are queer people in the organization. In fact, the leaders of the Revolutionary Communists of America believe that queer is not Marxism. So yeah, you can be Marxist without being queer. Queer is a mutated form of Marxism. Thank you, No Mayo, for the super chat. Appreciate it. No, bro, that's not what socialism is for. And again, you've been around my channel long enough that you should actually know what socialism is and you should actually know all this information. So again, what I'm going to say to you is your best bet right now is to shut your fucking mouth and to listen to what's being said. And actually, if you want a primer, because maybe you just need a primer. Maybe you just need an introductory lesson. What you can do is head over to my Substack, and what I want you to do is watch this class that I just posted on my Substack called Re-Education and Anti-Communist Introduction to the Left. This is what communism is actually about. And so, white man from town, next time you come back to my channel and you run your mouth with your bullshit talking points in my chat, I'm going to have the expectation that you've taken the 90 minutes to watch this class and that you've learned from the information in this class. Because if you come out of this class believing that they just want a handout because they're lazy, then you're not smart enough to be here. And I expect you've been around long enough that you really should know this. I really shouldn't have to say this to you, but I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. I've just launched the 90-minute class. So head over to the Substack. It is called Re-Education and Anti-Communist Introduction to the Far Left. It is currently on the homepage where you can click on it on the side there. But just in case it's not after you watch, after someone else watches this on demand, go to the How to Speak Socialist section, and it's literally pinned in the second tweet under the How to Speak Socialist section. And so next time you come back to my channel, I'm going to have the expectation that you've watched that class and you've listened to that class and you've learned from it, and you will know far more than you do today if you do those things. So much valuable content from the queen bitch. Yeah. Real. Real. We are not going to give you the answers that you want. We are going to give you the answers that reflect reality and what the left actually believes. That's exactly right, average person. Way too many conservatives come on this channel and they expect to be handed their same old bullshit talking points and they get really upset when they're not. But everything we're showing you is what the left is actually saying and doing. It's not what conservative commentators are saying because conservative commentators don't know. It's what the left is actually saying and doing.
And I want to be a lover of each and every one of you. Next year, we march naked.
Oh, yeah?
Anger. The strong sisters told the brothers that there were two important things to remember about the coming revolutions. The first is that we will get our asses kicked. The second
Revolutions, you say,
is that we will win. I'm angry. I'm angry for being condemned to death by strangers saying, you deserve to die and AIDS is the cure. Fury erupts when a Republican woman wearing thousands of dollars of garments and jewelry minces by the police line, shaking her head, chuckling and wagging her finger at us like we are recalcitrant children making...
So we've got a rich bourgeois Republican woman by a police line. Both of those things represent capitalism. The rich bourgeois woman is obviously a capitalist. The police are also capitalists because the police are the managers of private property.
Absurd demands and throwing temper tantrum when they aren't met. Angry while Joseph agonizes over $8,000 and over for AZT, which might keep him alive a little longer and which makes him sicker than the disease he is diagnosed with. Angry as I listen to a man tell me that after changing his will 5 times, he's running out of people to leave things to. All of his best friends are dead. Angry when we stand in a sea of quilt panels or go to a candlelight march or attend yet another memorial service. I will not march silently with a fucking candle. And I want to take that goddamned quilt and wrap myself in it and furiously rend it and my hair and curse every god religion ever created.
Oh, yeah?
I refuse to accept a creation that cuts people down in the third decade of their life. It is cruel and vile and meaningless, and everything I have in me rails.
So again, I just want to make sure people have the proper context for this. So this came out in 1990. This was a couple years into the ACT UP movement. The ACT UP movement is a response to the AIDS epidemic in the 80s. It was trying to get Ronald Reagan to acknowledge the AIDS epidemic, essentially. So when they're talking about death and dying, what they're talking about is gay men dying of AIDS and feeling like the government isn't doing enough to save them from this like deadly virus that they got themselves from sleeping around with people in bathhouses and stuff like that. But that's what this is. So when they're talking about death and dying, this is not kind of like what you see with queer Marxists today, where it's like silence equals violence. Although the ACT UP movement is basically where silence equals violence comes from. It was a reference to Reagan not saying the word AIDS, silence equals violence. But it's like when queer activists say silence equals violence today, it doesn't mean anything. But people do need to understand that at this time period, there were actually a lot of people dying. And I'm not suggesting their grievances were legitimate. Maybe some of them were. But I'm suggesting that there's a reason they're talking about death, and it's not overblown or hyperbolic. There were just a lot of people dying in this situation at this time when this was written. This is before they created the trans identity dying, and I think I think they lifted that from this because it was effective. Yeah, you're probably right about that.
Against the absurdity, and I raise my face to the clouds, and a ragged laugh that sounds more demonic than joyous erupts from my throat, and tears stream down my face. And if this disease doesn't kill me, I may just die of frustration. My feet pound the streets, and Peter's hands are chained to a pharmaceutical company's reception desk while the receptionist looks on in horror, and Eric's body lies rotting in a Brooklyn cemetery, and I'll never hear his flute resounding off the walls of the meeting house again. And I see the old people in Tompkins Square Park, huddled in their long wool coats in June to keep out the cold they perceive is there and to cling to whatever little life has left to offer them. I'm reminded of the people who strip and stand before a mirror each night before they go to bed and search their bodies for any mark that might not have been there yesterday. A mark that this scourge has visited them.
AIDS.
And I'm angry when the newspapers call us victims and sound alarmed that it might soon spread to the general population. And I want to scream, who the fuck am I?
Whoa.
And I want to scream at New York Hospital with its yellow plastic bags marked isolation linen ropa infecciosa and its orderlies in latex gloves and surgical masks skirting the bed as if its occupant will suddenly leap out and douse them with blood and semen, giving them to the plague. And I'm angry at straight people who sit smugly wrapped in their self-protective coat of monogamy and heterosexuality, confident that this disease has nothing to do with them because
monogamy is a reference to the nuclear marriage. This is why. So monogamy is a propertied relationship between two people. This is what the left believes. That's what they believe marriage is. And that is one of the pillars that upholds the nuclear family. And so that is why they're saying monogamy specifically. Have fun A-logging this, BT. This is kind of what I think. I'm like, BigTech thinks he's gonna A-log me. It's like, okay. Okay. You want to watch this? Okay, BigTech. All right. That's fine. I don't care.
It only happens to them. And the teenage boys who, upon spotting my silence equals death button, begin chanting,
Silence equals death is a reference to the ACT UP movement.
It's gonna die.
Oh.
And I wonder who taught them this. Enveloped in fury and fear, I remain silent while my button mocks me every step of the way. And the anger I feel when a television program on the quilt gives profiles of the dead, and the list begins with a baby, a teenage girl who got a blood transfusion, an elderly Baptist minister and his wife, and when finally they show a gay man, he's described as someone who knowingly infected teenage male prostitutes with the virus. What else can you expect from a faggot? I'm angry. Queer artists. Since time began, the world has been inspired by the work of queer.
I mean, well, they keep waffling around capitalism, don't they? They keep talking about profit margins, corporations, rich people. Like they're waffling around it, but you got to think back. I mean, this is before Judith Butler. This is before a lot of this stuff. Is this even before Halperin? I mean, I'm pretty sure it was before Halperin, right? Halperin was he in the 2000s? I need to make a timeline of all this queer stuff. That's one of the things that's been on the list forever. I actually started doing it. But we need a good timeline of all of this stuff to be able to really show. I want to do that on like the Queer Marxism website. But this is, I mean, there was queer stuff that came out before this, but you can kind of tell they're just trying to figure it out.
Queer artists. In exchange, there has been suffering, there has been pain, there has been violence. Throughout history, society has struck a bargain with its queer citizens.
Mid-90s.
They may pursue creative careers if they do it discreetly. Through the arts, queers...
And I still believe, I will still bet money that if we go back into the personal histories of David Halperin, of Judith Butler, we're going to find them in this subculture, either connected to ACT UP, connected to the queercore movement, connected to like all these weird little subcultures. I bet you Judith Butler was involved in all of this stuff. And that's how she developed her ideas around gender trouble. No, they believe capitalism manufactured the problem. So in this case, they don't believe they manufactured the problem. No, they believe capitalism manufactured the problem. Capitalism creates all problems.
Are productive, lucrative, entertaining, and even uplifting.
Yeah, she was in school.
These are the clear-cut and useful byproducts of what is otherwise considered antisocial behavior. In cultured circles, queers may quietly coexist with an otherwise disapproving power elite. At the forefront of the most recent campaign to bash queer artists is Jesse Helms, arbiter of all that is decent, moral, Christian, and American. For Helms, queer art is quite simply a threat to the world. In his imaginings, heterosexual culture is too fragile to bear up to the admission of human or sexual diversity. Quite simply, the structure of power in the Judeo-Christian world has made procreation its cornerstone. Families having children assures consumers for the nation's products and a workforce to produce them. As well.
That sounds like social reproduction theory to me. You want to tell me this isn't an anti-capitalist ideology? Bro literally just described social reproduction theory. Social reproduction theory being why they want to destroy the nuclear family, because they believe the nuclear family, through the having and raising of children within the monogamous nuclear marriage, whether that be two gay people or a man and a woman, because remember, homonormativity is a thing. So if two gay people get married and they have a house and they have kids, that's homonormative. Whereas if two straight people get married, that's heteronormative. Basically means the same things, norms that uphold capitalism. Essentially, they believe that by having children within a nuclear marriage, or excuse me, a monogamous marriage, they are raising the children with capitalist values, and those children are going to go out and be the next generation of oppressed workers under capitalism, also good consumers within the capitalist economy. Again, 1990.
Its cornerstone. Families having children assures consumers for the nation's products and a workforce to produce them,
Capitalism.
as well as a built-in family system to care for its ill,
Oh, yeah?
reducing the expense of public healthcare systems.
There it is, too.
All non-procreative behavior is considered a threat. From homosexuality to birth control to abortion as an option, it is not enough, according to the religious right, to consistently advertise procreation and heterosexuality. It is also necessary to destroy any alternatives. It is not art Helms is after. It is our lives. Art is the last safe place for lesbians and gay men to thrive. Helms knows this and has developed a program to purge queers from the one arena they have permitted to contribute to our shared culture. Helms is advocating a world free from diversity or dissent.
Oh, yeah?
It is easy to imagine why that might feel more comfortable to those in charge of such a world. It is also easy to envision an American landscape.
Well, I do actually have to stop to answer this. So they think AIDS was created to get rid of them. No one said that. I do have to stop to answer this because literally that has not been said. And so why are you in my chat making shit up? We don't make shit up here, bro. We don't invent things that don't exist. This is how conservative bullshit talking points get created, is you guys go off and you go off completely off the rails. You make shit up that's not grounded in reality. And then all of a sudden, none of you have any idea what's going on and you wonder why. It's because you literally made shit up. No one has said that. So there, no, that's not what was said. Nope, not in any way. So you heard wrong. People are asking about monogamy. They consider monogamy to be a capitalist property-related construct. So basically, if you're in a monogamous marriage, you are the property of the other person. It also creates an environment where property is exclusive to people within the family, the nuclear family. That means it's not available to everyone. That means some people have more resources than others. When some people have more resources than others, that creates a hierarchy that's oppressive, where people have more resources on the top, less resources on the bottom. So yeah, so they're one of the ways that they are quote unquote queering the nuclear marriage is through polyamory, having more than one person involved in a marriage or a relationship or things like that. But queer activists are against monogamy. They are against marriage. They never want a gay marriage to be legalized because they believe that all of this stuff feeds the capitalist system.
Flattened by such power. Helms should just ask for what he is hinting at. State-sponsored art. Art of totalitarianism. Art that speaks only in Christian terms. Art which supports the goals of those in power. Art that matches the sofas in the Oval Office. Ask for what you want, Jesse, so that men and women of conscience can mobilize against it, as we do against the human rights violations of other countries, and fight to free our own country's dissidents.
Hang on. So I just want to point this out. Kilkay in the chat is saying, don't read between the lines, just listen. This is exactly right. Because here's the thing. The left tells us what they believe. They're not mincing words. They're not trying to be a secret. They're not trying to say, maybe if I say this one thing, I'll be able to fool them when in fact I mean this other thing. You are listening to them speak a different language. Sometimes it might seem like you need to read between the lines, but the only reason you need to read between the lines is you don't speak their language yet. Just because they sound like they're speaking English doesn't mean they're speaking English. They're speaking a parallel language called socialist that was mostly developed in academia. For them, that is their primary language. English is not their primary language. They are not using your definitions. They're using their definitions. And so once you understand this, you start to realize, oh, there's no secret subplot to what they're saying. What's actually going on is I just need to learn how to speak their language and I need to learn what their definitions are. They tell us what they believe overtly. People have got to stop making shit up. Again, the reason the right is completely unhinged from the left and the right has no idea what's going on the left is because the right doesn't understand what the left is saying, because they don't speak their language, and then they make up all these crazy conspiracy theories that are just not grounded in reality at all. They have no desire to use your dictionary. They don't care if you understand them. They are off in their own world, in their own subculture, doing their own thing. And it's not their job. I mean, they say this, right? It's not our job to educate you. You have to educate yourself and understand what their language means. And that way you don't start creating all these conspiracy theories that are not grounded in reality. There's nothing between the lines. They just say what they say.
If you're queer.
And this is why I tell people to stop fucking listening to James Lindsay. How many times have I said in the chat, if you continue to listen to James Lindsay, you're going to continue being confused. Do you want to know why? Because James Lindsay doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. James Lindsay has never known what he was talking about. But if you don't know and you don't speak their language, what James says sounds like it makes sense. But it only makes sense when you don't speak their language. The minute that you actually speak their language is the minute that you realize that James has no fuck off clue what he's talking about. So James's idea of doublespeak is not that, it's that they have their own dialect. That's exactly right. And I'm not trying to make you feel bad. I'm really not. It's not that they're taking a word that is common in the English language and they're going, ha, 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 I know what we're going to do. We're going to change the definition of the word capitalism. We're going to change the definition of the word white. We're going to change the definition of misogyny. We're going to change the definition. They're not doing that. What's happening is they have a parallel dialect that has developed through academia in which they have just a completely different set of definitions. And for them, this is their native language because most of these people never left college. So they were literally speaking this language the entire time they were in college. And it's very different than how people speak in the real world. And then once they took over the K through 12 schools, now they start teaching kids this language at 5 years old. So it's not that they were taking words and saying, we're going to redefine all those words and we're going to change the dictionary. That's not what happened. What happened was they have a completely separate dialect that people are confused about because it sounds like English, but in fact, the definitions are completely different. And if people continue to listen to James Lindsay, honestly, listen, I'm usually not one to tell people who to listen to. I just know enough to know that every single person who we can identify people in the chat who are still listening to James Lindsay because they come up with just some of the craziest shit. And they talk about Gnosticism and they talk about things that are unhinged from reality and all this stuff. And it's like, okay, I can tell you haven't given up James yet. I mean, you're going to at some point if you continue to interact with this content. But the reason we know that is because James teaches all this absurd shit. And then people bring those ideas into the chat. And it's like, okay, I know where you got that idea. And that idea is wrong for reason X, Y, B, and Z. And you will learn someday that the more you listen to him, the more confused you're going to be about the whole thing.
Queers are under siege. Queers are being attacked on all fronts And I'm afraid
Yeah,
it's okay.
James is stealing
with
most of
us.
his stuff anyway.
In 1989, there were 50 queer bashings in the month of May alone. Violent attacks. 3,720 men, women, and children died of AIDS in the same month, caused by a more violent attack. Government inaction rooted in society's growing homophobia. This is institutionalized violence. Perhaps more dangerous to the existence of queers because the attackers are faceless. We allow these attacks by our own continued lack of action against them. AIDS has affected the straight world, and now they're blaming us for AIDS and using it as a way to justify their violence against us. They don't want us anymore. They will beat us, rape us, and kill us before they will continue to live with us. What will it take for this not to be okay? Feel some rage. If rage doesn't empower you, try fear. If that doesn't work, try panic. Shout it!
Yo!
Be proud. Do whatever you need to do to tear yourself away from your customary state of acceptance. Be free. Shout. In 1969, queers fought back. In 1990, queers say, okay, next year, will we be here? I hate Jesse Helms. I hate Jesse Helms so much, I'd rejoice if he dropped down dead. If someone killed him, I'd consider it his own fault. I hate Ronald Reagan too, because he mass murdered my people for 8 years. But to be honest, I hate him even more for eulogizing Ryan White without first admitting.
Hey, thank you, Joseph, for the Cash App or the Venmo. I just saw Psycho Frank McCormick's post about me. Do you guys want to take a quick break? Hang on, Psycho Frank. Psycho Frank has found the spell that I cast on BigTech. Hang on. Thank you for sharing this with me, Stony Baloney. Breaking news. Psycho Frank McCormick is James Lindsay's lapdog. He says, Karlyn Borysenko cast a spell on a groiper. BigTech is definitely not. BigTech is going to be so upset. BigTech is definitely, absolutely not a groiper. I think he would be very offended at the insinuation that he's a groiper. He is like the opposite of a groiper. Karlyn Borysenko cast a spell on a groiper she's arguing with online by writing a letter and putting it in her freezer. Well, I didn't just put it in my freezer. I put it in a jar and filled the jar with water and then put some salt in the jar and then wrapped the jar in aluminum foil and then put the jar in a bag and then closed the bag and then wrapped the bag in aluminum foil and then put it in another bag and then I put it in my freezer. Just to be clear, this was not just like, I didn't just write a fucking letter and then put it in the freezer. There was a whole process to this. I had to say incantations and all that stuff. Next to what I presume are frozen heads and voodoo dolls of James Lindsay. No, I never needed to cast a spell on James. Making James go completely psychotic was like actually really easy. I haven't cast a spell in years. This is actually, maybe I should have cast a spell on James. Maybe that would have made it easier. But, I feel like we achieved that one on our own. So I'm good. Say what you want about X. It's never boring. Yeah, a binding spell is like the most interesting thing these people have going for them. All right, thank you for that. Thank you for that moment. We're back. Okay. Well, no, there's like, it's in the back of the freezer. It's not going to bother anything.
Admitting his guilt without begging forgiveness for Ryan's death and for the deaths of tens and thousands of other people with AIDS, most of them queer. I hate him for making a mockery of our grief. I hate the fucking Pope, and I hate John fucking Cardinal fucking O'Connor, and I hate the whole fucking Catholic Church.
Yo!
The same goes for the military, and especially for America's law enforcement officials, the cops, state-sanctioned sadists who brutalize street transvestites, prostitutes, and queer prisoners. I also hate the medical and mental health establishments, particularly the psychiatrist who convinced me not to have sex with men for 3 years until we, meaning he, could make me bisexual rather than queer. I also hate the education profession for its share in driving thousands of queer teens to suicide every year. I hate the respectable art world and the entertainment industry and the mainstream media, especially the New York Times. In fact, I hate every sector of the straight establishment in this country, the worst of whom actively want all queers dead, the best of whom would never stick their necks out to keep us alive. I hate straight people who think they have anything intelligent to say about outing. I hate straight people who think stories about themselves are universal, but stories about us are only about homosexuality. I hate straight recording artists who make their careers off of queer people, then attack us, then act hurt when we get angry, and then deny having wronged us rather than apologize for it. I hate straight people who say, I don't see why you feel the need to wear those buttons and t-shirts. I don't go around telling the whole world I'm straight. I hate that in 12 years of public education, I was never taught about queer people.
Yo,
I
real.
hate that I grew up thinking I was the only queer in the world. And I hate even more that most queer kids still grow up in the same way. I hate that I was tormented by other kids for being a faggot, but more that I was taught to feel ashamed for being the object of their cruelty, taught to feel it was my fault. I hate that the Supreme Court of this country says it's okay to criminalize me because of how I make love. I hate that so many straight people are so concerned about my goddamn sex life. I hate that so many twisted straight people become parents while I have to fight like hell to be allowed to be a father. I hate straights.
Capitalists.
Where are you, sisters? I wear my pink triangle everywhere. I do not lower my voice in public when talking about lesbian love or sex. I always tell people I'm a lesbian. I don't wait to be asked about my boyfriend. I don't say it's no one's business. I don't do this for straight people. Most of them don't know what the pink triangle even means. Most of them couldn't care less that my girlfriend and I are totally in love or having a fight on the street. Most of them don't notice us no matter what we do. I do what I do to reach other lesbians. I do what I do because I don't want lesbians to assume I'm a straight girl. I am out all the time, everywhere, because I want to reach you. Maybe you'll notice me. Maybe we'll start talking. Maybe we'll exchange numbers. Maybe we'll become friends. Maybe we won't say a word, but our eyes will meet and I will imagine you naked, sweating, open-mouthed, your back arched as I'm fucking you. And we'll be happy to know we aren't the only ones in the world. We'll be happy because we found each other without saying a word, maybe just for a moment. But no. You won't wear a pink triangle on that linen lapel. You won't meet my eyes if I flirt with you on the street. You avoid me on the job because I'm too out. You chastise me in bars because I'm too political. You ignore me in public because I bring too much attention to my lesbianism. But then you want me to be your lover. You want me to be your friend. You want me to love you, support you, fight for our right to exist. Where are you? You talk about invisibility and then retreat to your homes to nest with your lovers or carouse in a bar with pals and stumble home in a cab or sit silently and politely by while family, your boss, your neighbors, your public servants distort and disfigure us, deride and punish us. Then home again and you feel like screaming. Then you pad your anger with a relationship or a career or a party with other dykes like you. And still you wonder why we can't find each other, why you feel lonely, angry, alienated. Get up! Wake up, sisters! Your life is in your hands. When I risk it all to be out, I risk it for both of us. When I risk it all and it works, which it often does if you would try it, I benefit and so do you. When it doesn't work, I suffer and you do not. But girl, you can't wait for other dykes to make the world safe.
Yeah, basically.
For you. Stop waiting for a better, more lesbian future. The revolution could be here if we wanted it. Where are you, sisters? I'm trying to find you. I'm trying to find you. How come I only see you on Gay Pride Day? We're out! Where the fuck are you?
Should be activists all the time.
When anyone assaults you for being queer, it is queer bashing, right? A crowd of 50 people exit a gay bar as it closes. Across the street, some straight boys are shouting, "Faggots!" and throwing beer bottles at the gathering, which outnumbers them 10-1. 3 queers make a move to respond, getting no support from the group. Why did a group this size allow themselves to be sitting ducks? Tompkins Square Park, Labor Day. At an annual outdoor concert/drag show, a group of gay men were harassed by teens carrying sticks. In the midst of thousands of gay men and lesbians, these straight boys beat two gay men to the ground, then stood around triumphantly, laughing amongst themselves. The MC was alerted and warned the crowd from the stage, "You girls be careful. When you dress up, it drives the boys crazy," as if it were a practical joke, inspired by what the victims were wearing rather than a pointed attack on anyone and everyone at that event. What would it have taken for that crowd to stand up to its attackers? After James Zapalorti, an openly gay man, was murdered in cold blood on Staten Island this winter, a single demonstration was held in protest. Only 100 people came when Yusuf Hawkins, a black youth, was shot to death for being on white turf in Bensonhurst. African Americans marched through that neighborhood in large numbers again and again. A black person was killed because he was black, and people of color throughout the city recognized it and acted on it. The bullet that hit Hawkins was meant for a black man, any black man. Do most gays and lesbians think that the knife that punctured Zapalorti's heart was meant only for him? The straight world has us so convinced that we are helpless and deserving victims of the violence against us that queers are immobilized when faced with a threat. Be outraged! These attacks must not be tolerated. Do something. Recognize that an act of aggression against any member of our community is an attack on every member of the community. The more we allow homophobes to inflict violence, terror, and fear on our lives, the more frequently and ferociously we will be the object of their hatred. You're immeasurably valuable, because unless you start believing that, it can easily be taken from you. If you know how to gently and efficiently immobilize your attacker, then by all means do it. If you lack those skills, then think about gouging out his fucking eyes and slamming his nose back into his brain, slashing his throat with a broken bottle. Do whatever you can, whatever you have to save your life. Why queer? Queer! Do we really have to start to use that word? It's trouble. Every gay person has his or her own take on it. For some, it means strange and eccentric and kind of mysterious. That's okay, we like that. But some gay girls and boys don't.
Hang on. No, they don't just make this stuff up. This is part of decades of evolution of this ideology. It's not coming from nowhere. It comes from somewhere. And if you don't learn where it comes from and you don't learn what's going on, then you will never understand the left. Our goal here is to understand what we're dealing with. No. Wrong. Completely wrong. Stupidly wrong. Horribly wrong. Really, like to the point, bro, where you're literally just making shit up that has no basis in reality. In this case, you're the one that's making shit up. And what you need to do is stop talking and listen to what's being said. And if you have questions, you're allowed to ask those questions. But we don't want your input on what this is. You don't know what this is. You have no idea what this is. You are a complete beginner in this, which is fine. But you don't get to instruct us on what this is. If you have questions about what's going on, ask them in the chat.
They think they're more normal than strange. And for other Others, queer, conjures up those awful memories of adolescent suffering. Queer, it's forcibly bittersweet and quaint at best, weakening and painful at worst. Couldn't we just use gay instead? It's a much brighter word, and isn't it synonymous with happy? When will you militants grow up and get over the novelty of being different?
Not gay as in happy, queer as in fuck you.
Why queer? Well, yes, gay is great. It has its place. But when a lot of lesbians and gay men wake up in the morning, we feel angry and disgusted, not gay. So we've chosen to call ourselves queer. Using queer is a way of reminding us how we are perceived by the rest of the world. It's a way of telling ourselves we don't have to be witty and charming people who keep our lives discreet and marginalized in the straight world. We use queer as gay men loving lesbians and lesbians loving being queer. Queer, unlike gay, doesn't mean male. And when spoken to other gays and lesbians, it's a way of suggesting we close ranks and forget temporarily our individual differences because we face a more insidious common enemy.
Okay, I need to explain this to people. So, we talked about earlier how straight does not mean man and woman. Straight means normative. Straight means capitalist. It means bourgeois. Going back to the evolution of queer ideology, this was a manifesto written in 1990. So, what you're seeing, as I explained, the evolution of queer ideology in this country happened side by side with the normie gay rights movement. So you had basically two groups of activists. You had the normie gay rights activists that just wanted to get married and be able to have insurance and things like that. And then you had the queer activists who are a fundamental anti-assimilationist ideology. No, this has nothing to do with the French Revolution. This has nothing to do with anything. This has nothing to do with any of that. This has nothing to do with any of your bullshit talking points. And now's the time for you to stop talking and listen. So you had these two activist groups that were working side by side, and they had many of the same goals. In the 60s, they had the same goals. In the 70s, they had the same goals. In the 80s, they had the same goals. Okay? When this was written, they were starting to splinter off from each other because you had the normie gay rights activists that just wanted to be able to get married and have insurance and have like basic things taken care of, but they didn't want to overthrow capitalism. It wasn't an anti-assimilationist ideology. Normie gay rights activists are actually very assimilationist. They basically say, we just want to do all the stuff that the straight people do. That's the normie gay rights activists. The queer Marxists, which is who wrote this document, are fundamentally anti-assimilationist. They are anti-marriage. They are anti-capitalist. They don't want people participating in the propertied relationships of marriage. They don't want people participating in the military either. That's a whole other thing that they had too. And so around when this document was written, they were starting to splinter off. And what this document is basically a call to action to the normie gay activists because they were just figuring all this stuff out to say, listen, it's not enough to be normie gay activists. You have to come over here with us. That's what this document was trying to do. And so I want people to have that context when they're talking about the straights, when they're talking about heterosexual relationships, when they're talking about all these things. It doesn't mean man and woman. It means, do you want to uphold the normative capitalist order or don't you? And in this document, what they're trying to do is convince all of these normie gay rights activists that just wanted to be able to get married and have like insurance, and that was really all they wanted. They're trying to convince them, no, this is not enough. You need to come further left with us. That's what's going on right now. Does everyone understand that? Let's go back. listen again with that context of this is an appeal to people who literally were just like, we just want to get married and have insurance, bro. We want to be able to visit each other in the hospital. And that's like literally all we want. Listen to this as an appeal to those people to say, that's not going to work and that's not going to be good enough. You have to come full on anti-assimilationist over with us.
Gay doesn't mean male. And when spoken to other gays and lesbians, it's a way of suggesting we close ranks and forget temporarily our individual differences because we face a more insidious common enemy. Yeah.
We need to forget our differences because we face a bigger enemy than all of us. And that bigger enemy, of course, is capitalism.
Queer can be a rough word, but it is also a sly and ironic weapon we can steal from the homophobe's hands and use against him. No sex police. For anyone to say that coming out is not part of the revolution is missing the point. Positive sexual images and what they manifest saves lives because they affirm those lives and make it possible for people to attempt to live as self-loving instead of self-loathing. As the famous "Black is Beautiful" slogan changed many lives, so does "Read My Lips" affirm queerness in the face of hatred and invisibility, as displayed in a recent governmental study of suicides that states at least 1/3 of all teen suicides are queer kids. This is further exemplified by the rise in HIV transmission among those under 21. We are most hated as queers for our sexualness. That is, our physical contact with the same sex. Our sexuality and sexual expression are what makes us most susceptible to physical violence. Our difference, our otherness, our uniqueness can either paralyze us or politicize us.
Politicize,
Hopefully,
you say?
The majority of us will not let it kill us.
Oh, yeah?
Queer space. Why in the world do we let heteros into queer clubs? Who gives a fuck if they like us because we really know how to party? We have to in order to blow off the steam they make us feel all the time. They make out whenever they please. They make out wherever they please and take up too much room on the dance floor doing ostentatious couples dances. They wear their heterosexuality like a keep out sign or like a deed of ownership. Why the fuck do we tolerate them when they invade our space like it's their right? Why do we let them shove heterosexuality, a weapon their world wields against us, right in our faces in the few public spots where we can be sexy with each other and not fear attack? It's time to stop letting the straight people make all the rules. Let's start by posting this sign outside every queer club and bar. Rules of conduct for straight people. Keep your display of affection, kissing, hand-holding, embracing, to a minimum. Your sexuality is unwanted and offensive to many here. If you must slow dance, be as inconspicuous as possible. Do not gawk or stare at lesbians or gay men, especially bull dykes or drag queens. We are not your entertainment. If you cannot comfortably deal with someone of the same sex making a pass at you, get out. Do not flaunt your heterosexuality. Be discreet. Risk being mistaken for a lessee or a homo. If you feel these rules are unfair, go fight homophobia in straight clubs or go fuck yourself. I hate straights. I have friends. Some of them are straight. Year after year, I see my straight friends. I want to see them, to see how they are doing, to add newness to our long and complicated histories, to experience some continuity. Year after year, I continue to realize that the facts of my life are irrelevant to them, and that I am only half listened to, that I am an appendage to the doings of a greater world, a world of power and privilege, of the laws of installation, a world of exclusion. Oh, that's not true, argue my straight friends. There is one certainty in the politics of power. Those left out of it beg for inclusion, while the insiders claim that they already are. Men do it to women, whites do it to blacks, and everyone does it to queers. The main dividing line, both conscious and unconscious, is procreation. And that magic word, family. Frequently, the ones we are born into disown us when they find out who we really are. And to make matters worse, we are prevented from having our own. We are punished, insulted, cut off, and treated like seditionaries in terms of child rearing, both damned if we try and damned if we abstain. It's as if the propagation of the species is such a fragile directive that without enforcing it, as if it were an agenda, humankind would melt back into the primeval ooze. I hate having to convince straight people that lesbians and gays live in a war zone, that we're surrounded by bomb blasts only we seem to hear, that our bodies and souls are heaped high, dead from fright or bashed or raped, dying of grief or disease, stripped of our personhood. I hate straight people who can't listen to queer anger without saying, hey, all straight people aren't like that. I'm straight too, you know. As if their egos don't get enough stroking or protection in this arrogant, heterosexist world. Why must we take care of them in the midst of our just anger brought on by their fucked up society? Why, at the reassurance of course I don't mean you. You don't act that way. Let them figure it out for themselves, whether they deserve to be included in our anger. But of course, that would mean listening to our anger, which they almost never do. They deflect it by saying, I'm not like that, or now look who's generalizing, or you'll catch more flies with honey, or if you focus on the negative, you just give out more power, or you're not the only one in the world who's suffering.
Okay, so I just want to do a quick time check because we are coming up on the 7:30 hour. Now, we have until 8 o'clock to start this spy stream, so we can go a little bit longer, and I do definitely want to finish the video, but I do want to remind everyone, we're going to try to wrap this video up in the next 10 to 15 minutes or so, and then we're going to be going into a supporter-exclusive spy stream. This spy stream is available for people who are members of the YouTube channel, Twitter subscribers, Patreon supporters, local supporters, and of course, most importantly, Substack supporters. So if you are not a supporter yet on any of those platforms and you want to join us for a spy stream going inside a live call with the Democratic Socialists of America round about 8 o'clock, Now's the time to sign up. You can become a channel member. You can find the information in the community tab. You can do it over on the Substack, whatever you like. But that's what we're going to be doing coming up very shortly here. And we're just going to finish up this video in the meantime. Hey,
They say,
welcome.
"Don't yell at me, I'm on your side," or
welcome.
"I think you're overreacting," or "Boy, you're bitter." They've taught us that good queers don't get mad. They've taught us so well that we not only hide our anger from them, we hide it from each other. We even hide it from ourselves. We hide it with substance abuse and suicide and overachieving in the hope of proving our worth. They bash us and stab us and shoot us and bomb us in ever-increasing numbers, and still we...
Well, just so you guys know, if you can't make the spy stream, you can always find it on demand later if you really want to watch it, but I appreciate you becoming a channel member.
Freak out when angry queers carry banners or signs that say, "Bash back!"
Bash back! Bash
For the
back.
last decade,
You don't say.
they let us
Bash
die
back?
in droves.
Wow.
And still we thank President Bush for planting a fucking tree. Applaud him for likening people with AIDS to car accident victims who refuse to wear seatbelts. Let yourself be angry. Let yourself be angry that the price of our visibility is the constant threat of violence, anti-queer violence, to which practically every segment of this society contributes. Let yourself feel angry that there is no place in this country where we are safe. No place where we are not targeted for hatred and attack. The self-hatred, the suicide of the closet. The next time some straight person comes down on you for being angry, tell them that until things change, you don't need any more evidence that the world turns at your expense. You don't need to see only hetero couples grocery shopping on your TV. You don't want any more baby pictures shoved in your face until you can have or keep your own. No more weddings, showers, anniversaries, please, unless they are our own brothers and sisters celebrating. And tell them not to dismiss you by saying, "You have rights, you have privileges, you're overreacting," or "You have a victim's mentality." Tell them, "Go away from me until you can change." Go away and try on a world without the brave, strong queers that are its backbone, that are its guts and brains and souls. Go tell them go away until they have spent a month walking hand in hand in public with someone of the same sex. After they survive that, then you'll hear what they have to say about queer anger. Otherwise, tell them to shut up and listen.
Is that it? I think that's it. Oh, look at the aftermath. He's all upset. He's all pissed off. Oh no. He's crying. So powerful, stunning, and brave.
And that's it.
That's it.
That is Queers Read This. Yeah, I know there's a lot about it that's hard to hear. It's really super binary.
Hang on. Thanks, Richard, for the super chat. Not to pick on trans people, but they seem to commit an inordinate amount of violent acts. Are they just more extreme than others? Well, Richard, I think that's a conservative bullshit talking point. I would like to see the actual data on that. But if they are committing more violent acts, it's probably because they're on testosterone. But again, I don't think that this is actually a helpful way to go about it. I think this is bringing, like, thank you for the money, but I think this is bringing conservative bullshit talking points into the chat. Conservative men commit acts of violence too. Do you want me to? Are conservative men, are Catholic priests more likely to molest young boys at a greater rate than the population? It's kind of like one of those. Like, you can always take this stuff and twist it to be like, excuse me, sir, I believe that trans people commit violent acts on a higher basis. Well, guess what? Conservative white men also commit violent acts. Catholic priests also commit violent acts. Cool. So can you bring in data and not pinky swear, trust me, bro? Because we hinge into reality here. We do not hinge into conservative fifis.
But there are seeds. You can hear those seeds.
They're not well represented in Antifa. That's not true. Stop
for.
making shit up. Please stop making shit up. I don't know why we're still making shit up.
If you get the chance, I recommend going to read it yourself. Thank you for listening. Thank you for
Is that it?
Being queer. Thank you for being you. Like the pamphlet says, every day you are alive is a revolutionary act. Your lives, your loves, yourselves are a revolutionary act. Existing in this world as who you are.
Revolutionary act.
A revolutionary act.
Comrade.
And I love
Hey, two ladies, thanks.
Every single person listening to me, I love all of you. That's basically it.
All right. That's it.
I'm going to see if there's...
That's it. That's it. That's all she wrote. That is Queers Read This. Again, if you would like to relive the Queers Read This document, you can find it pretty much anywhere on the internet. This is the Queer Zine Archive Project, where there is if you want to see queer propaganda over the decades, the Queer Zine Archive Project is a great resource. We have all the zines in this project archived in the in our secret Discord as well. So just in case anything ever happens to this website, I literally downloaded every effing zine on this website and put it into the Red Menace Collective Discord, which you only get access to through me, and only select people get access to it for right now, because that's just the way it goes. I have it organized by decade. I also have it organized by if there's many if there's many volumes of the publication, I organized it by that. But we've got this whole thing archived because zines are the primary propaganda thing used by the far left, so we want to make sure we know what they're saying. Hey, thanks to ladies. Julietta and Jenny say hi. Much respect. Karlyn, thank you for the super chat. Guys, we do have to wrap up this stream because we are going into Spy Stream. Spy Stream is where we watch a live leftist training, and we basically just watch what they say live. Tonight, we're going to be watching a training with the Democratic Socialists of America, the national organization, and they're going to be talking about Zoran Mandami. They're also going to be talking about what it means for more DSA candidates nationally. If you are a supporter on my Substack, which is Karlyn, KARLYN.substack.com, you have access to that. I just put the link in the chat. But if you go to the homepage of the Substack, it's right on the homepage. You can also be a supporter on Locals, Patreon, Twitter subscriber, or a YouTube channel member. If you are a YouTube channel member, you will find the link in the community section. If you want to watch it over on Rumble, I'm very sorry, but you're going to have to come and support us in one of these other ways, just because that is the way it goes. And we're going to go inside this organizing meeting. We're going to see what they're talking about, and we're going to see what they have planned. So we're going to stop this stream. We're going to end it, and I'm going to set up the other stream, and we're going to go do that. So I will see you guys tomorrow. There might actually be a spy stream tomorrow afternoon as well. Maybe. So keep an eye out for that. And if there's not a spy stream tomorrow, I will see you at 5 p.m. tomorrow. And then I'll see you at 9 p.m. tomorrow, where we're going to talk about the evolution of religion and all that stuff. So lots going on this week. Appreciate everyone dropping by. And that's it. That's it. That's all she wrote. I got to set my outro video. Hang on. I have to set the right video. There it goes. All right, guys. Take care. We'll see you soon.
How are you feeling? How long have you been here?
3 months, May 17th.
And what brought you?
That's difficult to answer.
Would you give me some idea?
I am not completely like other people.
What do you mean by that?
People dislike me because I am not completely like them. I am trying to do with my life something which few people try to do, and this influences my thinking and consequently my action.
What is it you're trying to do with your life?
Play the piano for people.
I'm not clear. How is it that playing the piano for people has eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital?
That's difficult to answer.